Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My guests today are neighbors of mine, actually, Jackie Cannon and her daughter Alicia Cannon. And the reason I invited them to be on today is because I know that they take annual trips to Spain. So, tell our viewing audience, why do you take these trips to Spain?
We love going to Barcelona, Spain, mostly because my mom and dad live there. They have been there for 37 years. They have a bookstore ministry, and they live up in the mountain in a beautiful apartment, and they really just enjoy living and serving there.
Mm-hmm. And how did your parents, were they from Spain originally? How did they?
My mom and dad are originally from Uruguay, South America.
Uruguay,
yes,
okay.
Uruguay. And they were both born and raised there. And then in 1978, my dad decided to go see some friends from Uruguay who lived in Spain. And when he came home, he said, I really feel led that we should sell everything and move to Spain and become missionaries in Spain.
Mm-hmm. So, you were born in Uruguay then?
Yes, and
yourself.
My mom and dad were not able to have children, so when I was 10 months old, and they've been married for about 6 years, they decided to take me in and adopt me. So
you were an orphan.
So I was honestly like a first time ever adopted, and it was pretty exciting.
Okay. Now, you grew up in Spain yourself then, right?
Yes. I lived there from when I was about 12 years old till about 23.
Okay. And you lived in Uruguay up until that time?
Yes. I lived in Uruguay till I was 8. Then we went to Philadelphia. We lived there for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I was put in American school because that was the first time that I ever would be speaking English. Mm-hmm. And my parents had learned some English when we were in Philly through like a kids channel. That's kind of how they started learning some of their English. And within maybe 6 months of being in 3rd grade, I was able to speak the language.
Oh, okay. And you know, you don't have an accent, though.
I try not to, but I can.
Could I get you to say something in Spanish for us?
I could say, buenos días, ¿cómo estás? Which means, good morning, how are you? Muchas gracias por invitarnos a tu programa. Thank you so much for inviting us to your program.
Oh, you're welcome. How would you say you're welcome then?
De nada. De nada.
De nada? Mm-hmm. Oh. Do you speak any Spanish, Alicia?
Un poco, very little.
Poco?
Like her dad, I think she and him, they both understand a lot more than what they speak.
Yeah. Well, you know, small children pick up languages very quickly, I've heard.
What's kind of sad to me is that here the kids sometimes don't try to learn more when they're in preschool, kindergarten, when a lot of the shows come on that are typically bilingual. Because like in Spain, they start them very young, or even here in the South typically, if the kids are coming from another country, they will learn English faster, or the kids will learn Spanish faster.
I've heard that the Amish people, they don't teach English to their children until they're at least 5 or 6 years old. So I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but
maybe it's a heritage
maybe
thing.
maybe they want them to get the hang of German or whatever it is they speak.
Sometimes
real good.
It's funny when you're at Walmart or somewhere shopping and you overhear them and you feel like you should be understanding everything they're saying, and it's like, wait, that's not necessarily English.
Okay. Now, tell us the story about how you met your husband Randy and got married and moved to Mayville, New York, of all places, from Barcelona, Spain.
I may need more than an hour. My husband and I was originally living in Barcelona at the time, and some missionary friends of ours said, we have friends in Minneapolis who need a nanny for their 5 children. And I thought, well, that ought to be interesting because I grew up with no siblings.
Oh.
So, yeah. And I did some babysitting on the side, so that obviously is helpful. But he was originally from here, from Mayville, and he was very good friends with the pastor's son. And so we both ended up being in Minneapolis at the same time.
Was he working
At
there
the same church.
too?
He actually was helping with the busing ministry because they needed more younger men to come and help, either with
okay.
driving them to church or going to different little places to get them. So we actually met at the same church. I had no interest because I had not come to America to get my Mrs. degree. But the lady that I was with, she loved to be a matchmaker. She had matched couples before, and she succeeded because I was there only 6 months. But within, after 3 months, we were both like, let's just go for a walk. And we just went to the beach and started talking to each other, and we're like, oh, wait, I think there's something here.
Yeah.
So about 2 years or so after that, because I was only there 6 months. He was there a year and 10 months. When I moved back to Spain, he actually came and he proposed in Spain. So we've been...
And he proposed to you in Spanish, or at least tried to?
He tried. Most of my girlfriends think it's funny because he was trying so hard to make an impression with his Spanish. So he was trying to say, will you marry me? But the word in Spanish is so similar with casar and cazar. There's only one letter difference. But casar with an S means to get married, and cazar with a Z means, will you go hunting with me? So I've been hunting with him for the last 23 years.
Or at least you think that's what you've been doing. Okay. Okay. Do you get homesick?
Yes. It's kind of interesting that I've been here for so long, but when I go back, there's just something that when you've been raised in more than one country, for me it was 3, sometimes either missionary friends or even my own parents would say, there will be times where you won't know where you belong exactly because you've just had so much culture from different places or languages, meeting people, and so I do get homesick. If you sometimes could film me walking down the road where we live versus walking down a city of 4 million people. And one time I said to my mom, I kind of miss the people, just the amount of people. And so she sent me a very long postcard with Las Ramblas, which you'll probably see a picture from that later, where it's like a half-mile walk, and you just walk through the center of it, and the cars go on the sides, and it's, I don't know, what was my train of thought?
I don't know. You were talking about being homesick, but...
Oh, so that's what the postcard had, was all the people walking through that city,
Oh,
and I was like, I want to be right there, or send them to me, so that way we'll have more people walking down my road.
Oh, yeah. Well, you moved from a big city to a very small town.
Is it small?
On one of the country roads.
Thank you, husband.
That's almost all the way out to the Chautauqua Gorge.
Yep.
So, but anyway, I remember once upon a time, before I knew you too well, I remember seeing you taking a walk down the road, and I remember you and Randy holding hands, and I'm thinking, oh, how sweet and how romantic they are, So, okay, how old are you, Alicia?
I'm 16.
16. And you were born and raised in Chautauqua County, right?
And she's proud of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you are? Okay. You don't feel homesick?
No.
No.
Only when I take her out of home.
Yeah. When you go to Spain, do you feel homesick?
Yeah, after a while, like after a week, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go home now. Like, I need to go home.
It's all what you're used to. And you said you don't speak too much Spanish.
I understand more than I speak.
You understand more
Yes.
than you speak. Okay. How do you like these trips to Spain then? You enjoy them then?
Yes, I love walking through the city and seeing all the famous landmarks in Spain. It's really cool. My friends like say to me, I want to go sometime with you, because I'm like, yeah, because it's like so fun.
Do you
to go
tell
see
them
it.
they'll have to save up their own money?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we can move along to the pictures you brought now, which have been scanned, and we'll talk about them. And those are your parents, are they?
This is my mom and dad. My dad's name is Carlos, and my mom's name is Nora. And like I said, they've been living there 37 years this fall, and it never fails that every time we get to the airport, my funnest thing besides seeing their faces after a whole year, they always come up with a sign.
Oh.
They always show up like welcome Cannon family or something, you know.
Oh, yeah. Your husband doesn't usually go along with you?
He did go this time, but he was
did
actually
he?
taking this picture. So we have a
He took
different
the
picture
so
somewhere.
he couldn't be
Right,
in it.
right.
So, okay. And that looks like something somebody built?
This is beautiful. This is a place called Parque Güell, and it's only literally 3 minutes from my parents' house. And it was built about in the 1885 or so. And there's a lot of architecture, a lot of different kinds of architecture within those walls.
And that really looks handmade.
It's incredible because
Yeah.
when you're there, one thing is to see the picture, one thing is to be there and like see the details, you know, of everything made of stone and stuff. So
Now, are those at the top, are those places where you can go and stand?
yes, you can walk right above there as well. There's a lot of little, almost like snake trails that you can walk on, and there's certain parts there are steps, and other parts it's just flat, it's just dirt.
Uh-huh. Well, it's really interesting looking. And that's an ice skating rink, apparently.
No, actually it's the same park, but taken from above. The underneath you can see like the really tall pillars, and what's really neat about down there
Oh,
is
so that's a roof I'm seeing.
Yes,
I thought
yes.
I was seeing people.
You can
but
actually-
maybe they don't.
no, the color is so light in the picture. Actually, it is kind of like a sand, but it looks so light. It looks like they could be ice skating. The view
But-
from up there is beautiful, and then there's the pillars underneath, and it's neat when people go there and play music because it really echoes like 2 to 3. It sounds 2 to 3 times louder than what it would typically sound like, even without microphones or anything. And this is all tiles that you see all the way around.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, maybe it doesn't get cold enough in Spain to go ice skating.
You have to literally go to an ice skating rink because,
Yeah.
yeah, even in the wintertime, it'll get pretty cold. You feel the cold from France or the Pyrenees because it's only 3 hours away, but there's no actual snow.
No actual snow.
No actual snow. This is also Parque Güell, but like from a different angle.
Uh-huh.
And people just love taking pictures of like just the architecture, the I was trying to think of the little square things, tile-like things.
That is really, it really looks beautiful in this picture.
And there's lots of palm trees there and even by the ocean, which is really pretty. This is, in English, it would be the Sacred Family, which means Sagrada Familia. And it's starting to be built like in the 1800s or so. Eventually, the architect passed away, and since maybe 1950 or so, they've been trying to continue it because it's, even though it looks pretty done, it's not literally done yet. And people pay a lot of money to go in and see the inside, which is really fabulous. But I think I saw it once when I was younger, and I thought, that's good enough for me. But for tourists, every time that we walk by that area, from the front of the church, probably half a block behind it, it's packed with people in line to go in to see it.
Oh.
Because it's just, it's one of the most known places there in
Oh.
Barcelona. This is my cousin Juan. Is kind of neat. I have about 20.
Your cousin Juan?
Juan, yes. I have like about 26 cousins in Uruguay, South America. He had the opportunity to come to Barcelona and spend about 3 months with my mom and dad,
Oh.
and would eventually like to move to Spain, but it's just very difficult paper-wise to get in
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. So he was hosted by my parents, and we're literally here walking down the Ramblas, and there's a lot of human statues. That lady is actually all made up and dressed up, and so she plays out different parts. And I have another picture where if you put money, you know, you can take a different picture with her or she'll move.
Okay, so it's an actual living
Yes,
person.
it's a living person, but-
dressed up to look like a statue.
Yes, and
Okay.
there's many different kinds of people, and they dress as different things.
Huh. That's interesting.
Here's my mom with my cousin, and that's supposed to be Christopher Columbus. So they're kind of looking
jeez.
for America. And here's Columbus, but the funny thing is my dad said, even though he's pointing towards the Mediterranean or the water, he's pointing to Africa, not America, so that could be
Oh,
A little historical, issue there.
yeah.
Oh, this is sinful. This is, here you think a waffle, just like a breakfast with syrup on it. So this waffle is a little bit sweeter than typical. It is, there's a place called like Waffle House, kind of similar to here, but you can dress your waffle however you want. It comes real nice and warm out of their oven.
Is that whipped cream? Or?
Yes, there's whipped cream. This one I think had
Strawberries?
like nuts and caramel.
Is there strawberries? Am I seeing strawberries?
No, I think that's chocolate. My mom did have one that had different fruits on it, and there's probably only 40 varieties of ice cream you could also get with that.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention was when I first called you up to ask you to be on this program, and I told you to bring pictures,
Yes.
and you asked a very strange question. You said, do you want all of the pictures to be about food? And I'm going, why would I only want you to only bring pictures of food?
Because the food is so good there. That actually was a dessert. I don't think that even falls into the food category, but
Is that hot chocolate?
this is coffee. In Spain, it's typically called café con leche, which means coffee with milk. And I just love that not only does the coffee taste good, but it is probably 3 times as strong as your coffee from a coffee pot here.
Oh.
Maybe more like a Starbucks. And I just love how they can make different designs on the coffee. This is another not so good place to go to. This is a pastry shop. Also a bread place. You can get many different varieties. You can see donuts there. You can get regular croissants, croissants with chocolate, pastries with powdered sugar. You name it, it's there.
I see.
This is a beautiful place called Montjuic, and it's we walked up that far, and then we walked farther up behind it, and there's a castle, and there's also in front of here, which I did not have a picture of right now, is what they call the magic fountains. And they're kind of cool to go at night because the water lights up. It shoots up different colors, and they play music in the background.
Oh, how
and
nice.
it's free, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch. It's my favorite thing to do when I go there. I always want to do that. Here's the castle that was used once upon a time. And
With a drawbridge?
I think there's another picture soon coming up that even has a place where they would actually exile people that, if they had a certain belief about something, especially politically speaking, they would
They could
actually
make them leave.
or they would actually put them like in some dungeon or actually get rid of them.
Okay.
Here's Mr. Cannon with a cannon.
Mr. Cannon? Oh,
Randy
your husband,
Cannon with a
Mr.
cannon.
Cannon.
There's your dungeon.
Huh.
Couldn't get a picture of the inside of it. Then we went with some friends up a very, very steep mountain. And we actually were able to go to a place called Tibidabo. And it's actually, believe it or not, a theme park with about 40 different kinds of rides way, way up in the mountain. So the view is spectacular from
Now
up there.
that roof of the building in the lower part of the
Yes.
picture is painted a certain design and certain colors. Or is it painted or do they,
Right here.
Yeah.
It's just some sort of design that they did to the roof of like just a little house that's there. It's not. I don't believe that was even a ride or anything. I was just trying to get a really good picture of the actual church, but then of course you get different things.
Okay.
In front of it too. So here are some of our rides we got to go on.
The swings.
The swings, the flying swings.
And a Ferris wheel?
Yes, all the way up there. It's so beautiful. We didn't get that on that one, but that was really neat. And here's our friend. And what we were doing, this is Carla. We actually taught them how to dye eggs.
Oh, you taught
how to dye Easter eggs because it's something
you taught them how to dye Easter
they had never done it
eggs.
before. It's not a typical thing to do
So
there.
that's not a picture of her. It's
Nope, that's
a
Carla.
picture of
And
a
she looks
friend.
like our relative.
Yeah, she does look like she's related.
So here are some of our
Easter eggs.
Our friend made a really delicious chicken meal, and it had a lot of beautiful herbs and spices in it. and some veggies and a very good broth.
What kind of spices do you use?
Some of the things that they like are like, I want to say tarragon. Of course, they love their olive oil, and I'm trying to think of some others because it's not things that I typically use. I love the Spanish food when I go there, but I don't always cook it at home. This is one of the things Alicia loves that I do make once in a while.
Is this a calzone?
It's actually called tortilla de patatas. So it's kind of like this right here. It's like not an omelet. It's thicker than
It
omelet.
has potatoes and
Yeah, it's made with eggs, potatoes, onion.
and it's like fried in a pan with olive oil.
Yes, you fry the potatoes first, and then you do it in an egg mixture and throw it in a pan. And it typically, mine never comes out that thick, but the thicker it is, the better it is. This is called pan con tomate, which is like just typical, almost like a very rustic bread. And you put some olive oil on it, and then you put salt, you rub a tiny bit of garlic, and then you rub tomato on it. And it's
That's where the red color comes from.
and it's very, very good. Alicia likes it better without tomato.
No tomato, just olive oil.
This is Parque Ciudadela. It's about half an hour away from my mom and dad's house, and it's just a beautiful public park that people can just walk through, and it's completely free. And there's a pond here with ducks, and inside that same park, it is so large. There's their main zoo is inside that park.
That part.
Yep. There's even a little place I couldn't convince my family to go on this little pond where you can row boats, and they were like, "We think we'll pass." I thought it would have been fun. This is our version of the Arc of Triomphe.
Okay, that's Alicia.
And her dad.
And her dad.
And if you keep walking straight down, that's where you end up at the park that we just saw. So it's all
okay.
in that vicinity.
Okay.
Then my dad thought it might be fun to drive us for 3 hours with many, many curves to the Pyrenees Mountains, which is Andorra. That's the name of the country. So it's very small. And it's kind of like in between Spain and France. It's right there, right in the middle. And it's not extremely big, but it was just beautiful. You'll see some pictures with the mountains. There was even, it was crazy to think that there was snow up there, and we were dressed like this, you know, like in T-shirts and stuff.
Oh,
but
gosh.
we weren't cold.
Oh my God.
Because it was so warm. This is a church we just happened to drive by, and we thought it was fascinating because it was like from the 1400s. Which you don't see a church like that. That's what's neat about Europe, it's so old. Here's some of the Pyrenees pictures.
Wow.
Sometimes you feel like the pictures don't even do it justice compared to being literally there, but we were like, well, that's the best we can do from that view we had.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to be able to look at the pictures of them. I'm having the funny feeling that maybe he's been through all the way through the Spanish pictures.
Okay, all right, that's possible. I had many, many more, but we would need like 5 hours to look through them all.
Okay, now you said that your dad took you on a side trip to England one year while you were there for a visit. And I guess you had a lot of fun doing that. What was your favorite part of...
I think one of my favorite parts was definitely going up on what they call the London Eye. Yep. And it was not the cheapest thing to do, but my dad actually treated us, and we're like, well, of course we're not going to say no. But it's just so fascinating to start at the bottom and go quite a few feet up in the air, and just to get that view from up there of the whole city. It's not the same like when you're walking on the actual street and you can take it at eye level. You can take it from so much farther up, and it's just neat to see so many of the landmarks that London is so known for, you know, from up there.
Yeah.
What did you like? Did you like the subway and us getting confused all the time on the subway?
We got lost quite a lot on the
You got
subway.
lost a lot?
Oh, yes. To get off of one train, then transfer to another train, and just chaotic down there. So
We kind of admire the people that live there year-round because they get on and off so easily, and they know exactly where to go. So you can always ask someone, you know.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, when you're in big cities, you encounter so many tourists.
Oh, yeah.
Because most of the people that live there would be working typically during the day, or if you're on, you know, if you're on holiday, as they say. So that's what's difficult sometimes, is because you might look at someone next to you and be like, this person probably knows, and they're like, they talk to you in a different accent or whatever it is, or they have a backpack and you're like, they're traveling too, they're not from here either.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be kind of confusing. So, shall we move along
Sure.
to the English pictures then?
You want to mention something?
Sure. We were on the London Eye, and when we got at the top, I took a picture of the Big Ben from the very top, and you could see like the one in front of us. I wanted to incorporate that because I thought it was a really cool like image of being up there and seeing like such a famous landmark.
Is that's part of a building that's sticking out like a bubble, big bubble at the left?
Oh, that's actually us
yeah.
in the bubble.
Oh, that's you.
Well, the funny thing is we took a picture of the one like in front of us, so people would see what it's kind of like to be inside one of them,
okay.
and the view that you can get.
Okay.
And there's the Big Ben, like called the London Tower, and we walked past it quite a few times. It's just so cool, like because you see it in like movies or in pictures, but when you're like staying right in front of it and looking up, it's just so amazing to think, wow, I'm right here. It's so cool.
Somebody pinch me.
Yeah.
Mind the gap.
Yes. So we were getting on the subway, and there's a humongous gap between the train and the station. So when the doors open, there would be people saying, "Mind the gap," like over the intercom, because they don't want you like to trip or fall or anything. So we just took a picture of that because we thought it was so funny, like see it written out. That's Westminster Abbey. There was like a lot of like royal weddings here, and that day we couldn't get in for a tour, but we got to walk out in front of it and take some pictures. It was really fun to see. There's my grandpa, or I call him Yayo in Spanish, and with my mom, that's in front of the Westminster Abbey. And like that day we were touring London, so he got a cap from like Buckingham Palace, so we got a picture in front of the Westminster Abbey, which I thought was pretty neat. There's the currency that they use, they're called pounds. So like we actually exchanged some of our American money for some pounds to like buy some souvenirs. It was just so cool to see like different currencies, so we thought it'd be fun to take a picture of it.
Did you bring any of it back with you?
I think a few coins.
Yeah, we don't usually bring paper.
No.
We try to spend it all.
Oh, do you?
There's the front of Buckingham Palace. There's a flag always on the top to let people know that the Queen is there. And if it's not up there, she's like away from the castle. That day she was there, and we got to see like the marching bands for like the change of the guard, and we got to see that and take some pictures of the front of the palace, which I thought was really cool.
You didn't get a chance to meet the Queen?
No.
Or have
Fun,
tea
though.
with her. That would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been
the
cool.
flag. St. Paul's Cathedral. We went on a Sunday. They were actually having like mass inside there while we were inside, like looking around, and the bells went off about for 20 minutes. It was really loud, and we were eating like lunch down the road at another restaurant. It kept going and going and going, and we like went there like twice in one day. We just thought it was really cool to be right there.
It's so impressive to be there in person to see it.
There's like my mom in front of a lion, like one of the famous lions that you see so often in like movies or pictures.
Including the Garfield movie.
Yeah, which is
Oh,
like
the Garfield.
Yep,
Yeah.
the real Garfield movie. They're there.
So we thought it'd be really cool to like take a picture in front of it. We couldn't get up all the way up there because we're too short for it, but she thought it'd be fun to take a picture right in front. So I thought it'd be really cool. There's my mom and I in front of the London Bridge, and we actually took a picture from both sides of the bridge. This is, I think, our last day there, and we thought like that was a cool angle, so we got a picture from right there, and I just like loved the whole entire trip. It was really fun.
One thing I enjoyed that was just past the bridge, we found the cutest tea house, and it was called the Teapot. And it was so rustic and quaint, so whenever you went inside, you know, and you could pick out from a huge variety of teas, And I love chamomile, but after I had their chamomile, I was like, I don't think I've ever really tried that before then, because it was just so delicious.
Oh, yeah. I like chamomile, too. You didn't bring any pictures of food from there then, from England?
Oh, that we didn't do. You know, it's funny because they're not as known for their food. I think more for their tea, which is funny because one day we got out of one of the subway stations and we said to my dad, we're looking for the Twinings tea company.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I seriously think we walked for 40 minutes till we finally found it. Because he's like, where is this place? And I should have put a picture up because it's kind of funny that the building was so small that we literally could have walked by and just kept walking. The varieties of teas in there, including with Her Majesty drinks, is just incredible. We bought a lot of boxes of tea that
And
day.
sampled a lot
and
of tea.
sampled teas.
Okay, what kind of tea does Her Majesty drink?
She had, I can't even remember the name of it.
There was Earl Grey,
Oh, okay.
and then like a breakfast tea, and like there was like a lavender one too, and like a lemon.
Lemon.
Yeah.
She likes lemon tea.
Yes, we got some and brought it back.
I want to say they made a special tea box even for when she was celebrating her, was it 75th?
Yeah, and there's also like the Diamond Jubilee
Yes,
box.
Diamond Jubilee.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But food-wise, you know, sometimes it's funny because we would end up more like maybe at a restaurant where they serve food that we were more familiar with.
Oh, really?
So if you could have some deep fried chicken and some french fries, yeah, a cup of Coke, and then you're like, yeah, I know
Yep.
what I'm having. But they are known for their fish and chips, which is fries. But we're not really big
No.
fish people, so we didn't take advantage, and neither is my dad, so we didn't take as much advantage of fish on that trip.
No.
How long were you in England?
Was it just 3 days?
3 days. We left the 19th and came back the 22nd of March.
The only thing is we would have stayed longer, but first of all, my dad was treating us, was very kind. And secondly, you have to consider it's about $100 a night
Oh, my gosh.
to stay
really?
anywhere. And we were staying at a very humble abode. We weren't even staying at some Hilton or some fancy place, you know. And what was beautiful, though, is because we were literally like 5 minutes from the subway station, which was
Oh.
called Paddington. So that way we could just walk from there and get on the subway, go downstairs. Once you were on, within 15 minutes you could be downtown, you know, to any of these sites that you saw. So it was very nice to have it so close by.
Yeah. So you brought a small version of the English flag with you
Yep.
today, right? To show?
Yep. Yeah, I got this at Buckingham Palace in the gift shop.
Oh, they have a gift shop at Buckingham
Yes.
Palace.
I even bought like a bag and it's like purple and it says like Buckingham Palace on it.
Oh.
And it's really pretty.
It's like a tote bag?
Yes.
Yeah. What about you? Did you get anything there?
I don't remember besides really buying tea.
You bought like little orange biscuits. Those were really
No,
good.
I mean like a souvenir
Yeah.
souvenir. Probably everything I would
Pen.
buy is edible, I guess.
You bought a pen.
The souvenirs don't exist anymore then.
They're so pricey sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends how much you want to spend on something. But sometimes, I mean, for me, I've learned as I've gotten older that the memories and the pictures mean so much more to me than an actual, you know, something I can bring back that I can just look at.
Oh,
It's
well,
just kind of neat.
if you've got it, you've got to take care of it, right?
Or you have to find a spot for it, a very
And
small
find
home.
a place for it. You've got a couple other things with you from...
Well, it's fun because I love to collect mugs. They're called the collectible mugs.
That
from-
says a Starbucks on
Yeah,
it.
from Starbucks. So I actually found one from Barcelona, and I was like, okay. And it's kind of neat because almost every design that's on here is places that I've actually been to. So then it makes it more.
Okay,
more real for me.
Okay, so the mug was actually a souvenir from Spain.
Yes.
Okay.
See, from Spain, I do buy souvenirs.
Oh, okay.
Kidding. Here I had brought just to show the tortilla de patatas, which is like the egg
Oh,
and
yeah, the
potato
thing you were
omelet.
describing.
And I actually, it's kind of funny because on the back, actually they have the recipe in English. So just for fun, I thought, I'm going to give it a try and make it more often because I didn't typically make it before. And after she tried it, she's like, I love that stuff. How come you don't make that? So then she challenged me to learn to make it better. And then I brought just a little Barcelona book, and inside in the back there's a map for people who might go for the first time, and just kind of a neat display of like different places and things that you can go see while you're there. So it tells you, you know, where you find museums, where you can find restaurants, cafes, architecture. A lot of people, when they go to Spain, they love architecture the most. And food. The food's very good.
It was very good, yes.
I suppose that's probably why you asked me if I only wanted you to bring pictures of food. I think that our viewing audience is starting to feel hungry now after seeing all of those pictures. Now, you had some notes written down.
There were just some things that, as we were looking at pictures, that just things to kind of bring up. But one of the things I had mentioned was that big Sacred Family Church from Gaudí, which was very known there. He started in about 1883, and after he passed away, like in the 1950s, they kind of took over and have been trying to complete the project. But
so they had his drawings and things to use to try to finish it
I
with?
think so, but what's interesting that I had even read about, kind of like as into history, during the Civil War time, the anarchists actually came in and they either ruined or destroyed a lot of the things that he had
that
made.
had already been
As far as
built?
to, I think it was drawings and some other things that he had made, but they decided to actually spare the building itself.
Oh.
For some reason, and some people even question it, like, wow, why would you get rid of everything else but leave that? But that's what they decided to do. And then the Parque Güell that we were talking about, that's by my parents' house, they actually wanted to turn that into kind of like an English-style garden.
Oh, really?
They wanted to make like 60 houses on it. They made like 3, and then the plans just kind of fell through. And then the city took it over in like the 1920s and kind of transformed it into a park that people can enjoy. And since my parents live next door, it's incredible that sometimes we look down at the bus parking lot, there's up to 10 buses a day, and that place is crowded from the moment it opens till the moment it closes at night.
Wow.
Like, that's one of the biggest attractions that people like.
Well, it sounds like the most fun one, really. So what do people do for entertainment in Spain?
What do they do for entertainment? I think sometimes it also depends on the time of year. They love going to the beach. So that would definitely be a big one, because the kids and the parents always look forward to like summertime and just being able to get out as a family.
Flamenco.
Flamenco is a beautiful Spanish-style dance that they do. That's really neat. The guys play the guitar and the women dance with these beautiful flamenco dresses that are all very different from each other. I'm trying to think, because it's funny that when we go there, we kind of like act like tourists, so we just join everybody else.
Everyone loves the Ramblas. Like,
Yeah, the
there's,
Rambla
like,
is a beautiful place to walk.
There's like vendors down there and different restaurants you can try, and it goes on for like a long while.
It's like a half a mile from the
Yeah.
very top to, and you make it to the actual Mediterranean, where Columbus is at. So that's when you can see all those statues, tons of cafes and restaurants. There's even a place called Liceo, which is where it's their main city opera house.
Oh.
And it's beautiful. We've never taken the tour going all the way inside, but you can go into almost like a little museum area and see pictures of the inside of it. But you can kind of get a glimpse from the door, and that's what we take a picture of. It is beautiful. But there's a lot of people that are into opera. So
They love
that's
soccer.
something they enjoy. They have the Barca team, which is their main soccer team. That's a big shrine there in Spain. They
Yes.
love their soccer.
Oh, they love soccer.
Yeah,
Huh.
and they have a great team. So.
Well, about these flamenco dresses, these beautiful flamenco dresses, have you ever thought about buying one for yourself while you're
Sometimes
over
they're a
here?
bit pricey, and the sad thing is you can't really wear them
Around here?
around. It'd be like, what is she wearing that for? I bought her one when she was small, but we kind of outgrew.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah.
But they're really cute.
Yeah.
And then you wear like pretty much like the tap kind of shoes, so you can, when they're dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they typically, like, one of the guys might sing and the other one's playing a guitar, and they play castanets. So it just really adds to the whole thing.
And the Spanish music does tend to be very beautiful, doesn't it? And it makes you feel like you want to get up and
It
dance.
stirs your soul.
Oh, yes.
It really, really
Sometimes I
does.
find it funny that depending where I'm at, I might hear Spanish music, and I immediately am like, and just feel like, and I look at people around me, they're kind of like, just stiff and walking around. I'm like, don't they feel anything? So maybe it is a Spanish passion kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought that Spanish dancing and like that was a lot of fun to watch, and probably would be a lot of fun to try. Do you do any kind of dancing, Alicia?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really a dancer, but I like kind of moving to the beat a little bit, I guess, sometimes when there's a good song on, but not really, no.
Not really, no.
She probably has half Spanish in there.
Yeah. No, I have some
Well,
American.
in Barcelona, what are the most likely types of lines of work that people do there?
There are a lot of office jobs. There's also a lot of retailing. There's so many stores. When she and I go, like, even after a whole year, sometimes I'm in awe walking through different neighborhoods and realizing almost every other store is a retail store. They're just so into fashion. There's a lot of even American retail stores there. Aeropostale and others, or H&M.
H&M
was another one that was there. So probably stores and office jobs would be the biggest things there.
Yeah.
And coffee shops and restaurants.
When
of
you
course.
lived there as a young girl, were you really into shopping?
To a certain degree, because sometimes you had to come up with the money, because
Right.
even though it was an only child, it wasn't like everything you want we'll just buy for you.
Yeah.
Unlike someone else. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're an only child too, aren't you? What is this with your family?
One only.
Yeah.
One at a time.
One at a time. So, so anyway, we have a lot of fun running into each other in the neighborhood and uptown and the library and everything. And they go for walks past our house a lot. And it was really fun talking to you on the phone about the TV show.
It's always exciting to do something for the first time.
Oh, do something for the...
I mean, it was our first time.
Your
Yeah, you're a
first
pro now, but
Well, I don't know about that.
we were
But,
like, hopefully we find enough things to keep people entertained for an hour.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And you lead it very well. So,
Oh, well, thank you.
because it helps to have specific questions thrown out, so you try to know how to answer them.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a little over 14 minutes left here. So, what were your favorite things on the trip, Alicia?
I like seeing all like different like landmarks and like shopping. That's like one of my favorite things.
Shopping was one of your favorite
Yeah, I got
things
like 2 pairs of shoes and like 3 shirts, I think. I went down to this really cool place. It's called Corte Inglés. It's like a 8-story shopping center.
Oh my gosh.
And the very bottom floor is
Is
like
it as big around as it is high?
Pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
they have like a grocery store in the bottom. Like there's like coffee and a bunch of things, and there's even like sometimes you can find a couple of American things in there mixed in. Next like 7 floors are like all like shopping centers like for clothes and shoes and like a kitchen appliances and like almost like a Kohl's, but like inside like a 8-story building.
Calls.
And then on the very top, it's like a restaurant area where you can like get food and have coffee and your pastry and look over like the city of Barcelona. It was really cool. One of my favorite places to go was Tibidabo, the amusement park.
Oh, yeah.
There was like a lot of rides, and the friend Carla, the one in the picture earlier, she made me go on this one ride 4 times in a row. It goes upside down and leaves you hanging upside down for a long time.
Oh, it leaves you hanging upside down
and
for a while.
But you're all the way at the top, so you get to look upside down at the city of Barcelona. I'm just like, this is a different angle to see the city
Yeah.
at. But it was a lot of fun
Yeah.
going there.
Well, I'm going to tell you something about being upside down. Did you know that it's good for your health?
Oh.
That's why people who practice yoga do headstands and shoulder stands and things. When you're upside down, you grow younger instead of older because it reverses gravity. And
We should do it 24 hours a day.
Probably should.
So anyways, were there other rides that were that unusual?
Yeah, well, they did this one. It was like a log ride. Like
A
that they
log
ha-
ride?
Yeah, where they have like here, but theirs are steeper. And so I'm like going. We up the little hill, went down the little hill, and I was already like, okay, I'm done, because it was like really steep for the little one. And she's like, oh, we're not done yet. I'm like, there's another one? And she's like, she's like, yeah, there's another one. We get there and look down, like, and then like we went twice, but I was like, like all the way down. And there was like a carousel that had like 2 floors. It was really
That was unusual.
It was very
beautiful,
unusual.
though.
A 2-floored carousel.
Yeah, and we never got to go on the Ferris wheel because of the long line. But I got to say to all my friends, I've driven in Barcelona because I did bumper cars.
Oh.
So I took my little green car and like was trying to like avoid like hitting people. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun seeing them communicate, because Carla's learning English. She's still learning some things in Spanish. So just for them to kind of carry a conversation. But once in a while I'll be like, I'll hear, Jackie, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say this? You know, so then she'll look at her and be like, Alice!
Yeah.
That's what I meant to tell you, because sometimes they could get the gist of what they were talking about. And sometimes the mom, our friend's mom, would say, I thought you learned that in school already. Shouldn't you know that by now? But there's still words that you can always... I've been speaking English since I was 9 years old, and once every great while I encountered still a new word to me.
I've lived in the United States. I've lived in the United States for 67 years, and I still run across English words that I never heard before. Whenever I hear somebody use a word that I've never heard before, I have to go to the dictionary and look it up to see.
It's almost like the spelling bee, you know, like how do you use that word?
Right. Yeah, like I remember the first time I at a spelling bee being asked to spell eucalyptus.
Oh.
And right away, this was many years ago when I was like in 7th grade, you know, and 60 years ago, and it's like I just assumed the letter U, but it's
Right,
EU, you
right,
know.
right.
So anyways, I think, do you think English is the most complicated language?
It's
to
somewhat
learn?
complicated, because I tried to learn some French, and when we got to the verb part, I was like, forget it. But with English, I think the hardest word, which you know the meaning of it because you do a lot of English now, when the words are very similar, I'm trying to think of how you say that. So, like a red car, I read a book.
Oh yeah, the different
Hyperbole.
spellings and different meanings for the
Acronyms, you
same
said?
No.
same
Hyperbole,
pronunciation.
I think it is.
Okay. Well, but like when you're learning English for the first time, that was difficult for my parents and I, because we were like, how can you say the same, how can it sound the same, but it is spelled different?
Yeah, the English language is pretty weird that way. like bow. If you take a bow, you're a performer. You
yes.
take a bow, and then there's another type of bow which is part of like a tree branch or something, isn't
Okay.
it? Yeah, and you know, there's lots of things there, and like THEIR
Right.
and THERE. And yeah, it is pretty a pretty strange language, really. So
French is full.
Yes.
somebody just said something about French. Well, I didn't
French's
catch
fault.
French's fault.
Yep. It's their fault.
Oh, why is it their fault?
Just had to throw that in.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it was so funny because when we went to England, we were wondering where the elevator was, so we were asking, where's the elevator? And they just looked at us like really confused. And I'm like, I thought they spoke English here, which they do, but like they use different words. So instead of saying elevator, they say lift.
Oh.
So where's the lift? That's the elevator.
Oh.
there,
Or if you
so-
say subway, where can I take the subway? It's where's the underground?
Yeah.
Oh, the underground
The
is what you
underground.
need to say if
Yeah.
you're over there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the way they even words that are really the same as they are here, spelling
Right.
and everything, they
Right.
pronounce differently. Like the word privacy is privacy.
Yes.
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 And things like that, you know. So
And sometimes it's just like you get there and you're like, well, obviously they speak English. I will understand everything they say. But I think because of their accent versus the accent here, it's different. Because sometimes people even say, like with Spanish, how different is it? I was born and grew up in South America, and we have a lot of accent. And then you go to Spain, and they don't have the same kind of accent.
No.
It's kind of like
both
English and British.
Spanish-speaking countries. Yeah.
So it's almost like here in Great Britain. It's the same language, but different accents or different words for the same thing.
It is kind of fun to listen to English people speak. The Australian people, their accent sort of in a way reminds me of the English accent, and yet it's different from
Right.
that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and like just the eastern part of the state here is completely different accent than we do here in Chautauqua County. And
I was going to say the biggest thing I think for us, besides language, when you go to Spain, for anyone who might be adventurous enough to want to go to England or Spain for the first time, is the time change. So you have to realize that
Yeah.
once you get there, I'm typically really tired because I don't sleep at all on the plane. So I just watch movie after movie or talk or eat something or whatever just to pass the time. But then once you arrive there at 8 or 10 in the morning, they're 6 hours ahead. So in your mind, you're like, I'm still tired. But the trick is to stay up as much as you can,
when you
as
first
late
get
as
there,
you can. So sometimes if you get there at 10 o'clock in the morning, you have to try to stay awake till about 8 or 9 o'clock at night and go to bed when they go to bed, and eventually teach your body how to adjust to their time zone.
yeah,
It takes a couple days, and then it just kind of kicks in. It just feels normal again. It's
Yeah.
amazing how your body can do that.
It is so different because I'll be writing my friends like over like Messenger, and I'll be like, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and they sound so awake, and they're like talking and talking. I'm like, how are you so awake? I'm like, oh, because it's 4 o'clock there in the afternoon. So I'm like, I gotta go to bed. They're like, oh yeah, 6 hour time change. I'm like, yeah. So that was really different.
So how long does the flight take?
It really depends on our connecting flights because we
Uh-huh.
typically leave from Buffalo. So we drive up there. We left the car there this time for the 2 weeks, which was easier. And then you fly from Buffalo to New York City, which is typically like a little over an hour. And then from there you wait. Actually, we went to Detroit. I'm
Yeah, we
sorry.
did.
On the way back, came a different way. We went to Detroit, 2 hours. Then you wait about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then you fly over about 7 hours. But unfortunately, we had to go to Amsterdam first. So then you have to wait there a couple hours to take your last 2-hour flight to Barcelona. So it's typically 10 to
So-
12 between all of the flights.
So in other words, in order to get to one country, you have to visit more than one country. Then.
And the sad thing is, like with some of the countries she's never been to, which I've been able to go to, like Amsterdam. So it's a shame that sometimes when you have 2 or 4 hours of wait, you can't just get on some shuttle and go visit the city, take pictures, and come back and be like, I was actually in Amsterdam. Just like Paris. We came back through Paris,
We
and
got
she's
some
like,
really yummy macaroons.
yeah. We tried macaroons because the French
Oh,
have
they're so
beautiful,
good.
wonderful macaroons. But since they were about $2.50 a piece, we only bought 2. But we said, we're in France, we must do as the French do. So even if we were at the airport, we try their macaroons.
Well, good. Pretty sweet, are they?
Yes, I got
Just
like,
right, though. They're not overly
I got like an
sweet.
orange blossom, and she got a salted caramel. They're both really good.
Okay, so they make them in lots of different flavors.
Oh yes,
then.
there's
Probably
probably like 30 varieties.
We really agreed on that one.
It was like shelf after shelf for like different flavors.
They just look so beautiful. You're like, I don't know if I can eat them, but
That
we
was
did.
like that's like my next trip. I want to go there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Next trip is Paris.
I've heard that French people like to eat a lot of pastry. So,
They're
but
beautiful, too.
they don't gain very much weight?
You know, that's one thing I was going to say versus the States. Like even in Spain or when we were in London, people typically walk a lot. There's a lot of people, and if I lived there, I would not have a car. So if you live in an apartment and you have to make it to the subway station or even to a bus, you typically have to walk 10 to 15 minutes or more each time. So people in Spain, even though they eat well and they love their olive oil, and sometimes when we're at my parents' house, we eat at 8:30 at night. That's our dinner time. They're eating like at 10 at night.
Oh my God.
And then you smell all that olive oil and frying going on, and you're like, how can they eat? Even though I lived there for a long time, we never adjusted to eating at the time they ate because it was just too late. And then you got to go sleep with all that in your tummy.
Right. Actually, that's not supposed to be good for your health to
But you'd be in
go to
awe.
bed on a full stomach.
Right. You'd be
Yeah.
in awe being there because of people walking so much. They're actually pretty trim. Like they look healthy to me, healthier than here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we had a relative of my husband's from France
Oh,
stay
neat.
with us one summer,
Uh-huh.
and I heard her making a comment one time about, I think Americans eat too much food or something like that, you know. So
We were blessed the nights that my mom actually cooked something for us because sometimes she's like, I'll just have a little salad or a pear and off to bed I go. We're like, we need more than that.
She makes really good chicken, though.
Yes, she makes very good deep fried chicken. This is
And
true.
potatoes. They're very good.
And she gave us a lot of rice.
rice. White rice or whole grain rice?
I think this time it was white.
White is white. Yeah.
White.
One thing that's very typical in Spain that they make in very huge, I was going to say cazuelas, very big, like pot-like thing, I
Yeah.
don't know, is, what's the name of it? The rice thing.
Paella.
Paella, thanks.
Paella.
And it's typically rice, but some of them can be more Mediterranean, like with shrimp and all sorts of fishy-like stuff, or you can have one with just chicken on it. And believe it or not, a lot of even my friends, which I can't do, they like rabbit. So they'll eat,
Oh.
rice with rabbit.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are down to 35 seconds.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting us to your show.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on. It's been a lot of fun, you know, talking about your trips to Spain. We'll have to get together sometime.
Yes.
And
We'll have to make you a tortilla de patatas so you can
Oh.
try one of our Spanish meals.
Oh, sure, sure. Do you, don't they eat a lot of beans and corn, too?
Not so much.
Not so much?
Maybe more beans than corn.
Oh, okay. I'll see the rest of you in a couple of weeks.